I've been listening to so much Hisohiso Banashi ever since I recorded it, and I love every single part of it. Until today, I probably listened to it like 10 to 15 times. And I still haven't found any songs that I dislike. And another thing about Hisohiso Banashi is that it flows so well in terms of emotions that you just don't get bored. You can tell that Nori Ueno Cracker Kansaite Kuyashiwa Inemuri Ensaite and Hase Haseru Hateru Made, it's like a little taste that Akane is giving you. Hey, if you're not familiar with who we are, here's 4 tracks to let you get familiarized on what we typically do. And if you're not, and if that doesn't make you fall in love, wait until you listen to Ketobashita Mofu Dear Mr. F, Glass to Rum Raisin, Yashashiku Last Smile, which is very ballad driven and soft music. I mean, Ketobashita Mofu is not really exactly that, but it has elements of it. And if you're still not gonna be in love, God, I'm gonna give you different kind of sounds, man. Check out Mabushi DNA, Dake Humanoid Seigi. These are just sounds that let you feel that, oh, it's all different music. So let's bounce our thoughts over here with this article. Shout out to this website, Omni Basu Blog, and let's get to the part where they talk about Zutomayo. So if you're a frequent Japanese music fan or just one who dabbles a bit in this area of music because of other influences like anime and such, you may have already heard of Zutomayo Naka de Lenoni, or Zutomayo for short. Before, due to the overwhelmingly positive reception of their first ever song release, Byoshin wo Kamu, the group released that viral hit on YouTube back in August 2018, and when it was later posted on streaming services, it quickly became the most streamed song that week. To me, you know, when I first listened to Byoshin wo Kamu, I didn't exactly jump up from my seat like Study Me. Or even I would say the same for Kono Konakoto Sodo. Byoshin wo Kamu didn't really hit me exactly too strongly, but as soon as I stopped listening to it, as in I finished the song and I go to bed, and the next day passed, and I'm thinking, hey, I wanna check out a song again, Byoshin wo Kamu keeps on come back to my head. And that's something that a lot of Zutomayo songs does, is that it gives you this feeling that, hey, you probably won't be able to notice this part in the music, but you probably registered it into your brain. So I'm here to tell you that I've connected the dots for you, as in your brain telling you that. You remember that one part that you have no idea what that music is going on, but it just makes you feel like, oh, that's something that I really want, that's something that I really like. Yeah, that's what Byoshin wo Kamu or Zutomayo's music in general does for you. It makes you think. It makes you go back to that moment and makes it wonder, what other sounds are they playing over there? So that is something that's very surprising for me after listening to Byoshin wo Kamu and making me feel like I want to go back to it. That massive hit was only the beginning for this new promising group, as Zutomayo later released a couple of EPs like Tadashi Itsuwari Kara no Kisho. Very close to getting it perfect. And Ima wa Ima de Shikai wa Emi de, alright, I got the pronunciation right. Further showcasing their rock pop sound, intriguing music videos, and especially vocalist Akane's energetic voice. And the group will later release their full studio album on October 30th, 2019. Like with many doujin artists, I need some help over here. I have no idea what does doujin artist means, so let me know what does doujin artist means. Zutomayo prefers to keep their individual identities concealed, aside from knowing the name. Now, it is also thought that Zutomayo does not have a specific set of members and instead collaborates with different musicians, composers, and animators in each of their works. However, despite the lack of information or identities connected to this group, many people believe their confidential image is an important part of why they're so fascinating and popular. I can agree. Now let's get into Hisohiso Banashi. I found that an interesting thing about Zutomayo is that it really takes one song for them to get their hooks in you. As a fan who caught wind of the group's rise early on with their debut, way back when, I knew without a shred of doubt that they were something special. That said, I wasn't quite sold on them just yet. This is exactly what I felt, but I knew there was something special. I remember when Kansaite Kuyashiwa dropped and Seigi not long after. And at the time, I did know in my heart that I should like them more than I did because of how good these songs were, but for some reason I didn't. I don't know how you wouldn't. Oh, it's tough not to get into Zutomayo with Kansaite Kuyashiwa. It wasn't until I heard Dear Mr. F just randomly one day, a track that is otherwise an album exclusive of Hisohiso Banashi, and it all just clicked for me. Hearing Akane just sing in that one song, I think made me understand what it was that she was trying to do with her music, and all of a sudden this album just became magic from the first track to the last. I feel so good right now because that is what I meant in the album that I was listening to. As soon as I listened to some other songs and you listen to the whole album, it clicks. You know, she has some kind of vision on what she wants to do with her music. And when I listen to a lot of as soon as Ketobashita Mofu hits and Dear Mr. F sweeps in, followed by Konokoto, Mabushi DNA, Humanoid Glass to Rum Raising Seiyu, Yasashiku Last Smile, all of these songs are all different. And then that's when I realize Akane is a genius. Akane is doing something amazing with the music, and it kind of makes you want to listen to what she produced every time as a whole storyline, continuation of what she's trying to pull off, the whole mystique that she has. It's all a part of the story. She is immersing us into this universe that she's creating, and that is just amazing. So speaking of, can I also just say there was an absolutely boss move to put Byoshin wo Kamu as the very last track of the album? Yes. I mean, that's the song that put them on the map, so you think they put that up as an opener, and for them to just save that for the very end shows just how much Akane believes in the music she and the band can create, that they felt that they didn't even need to bank on the popularity of the track. Yeah, it speaks a lot. When I first hear Byoshin wo Kamu, I didn't think that it was a song that you would put as your last track in the album. But when I listened to the album and knowing Byoshin wo Kamu, it just felt like an amazing encore song. It makes me feel complete, full circle. That's the song that I first heard from them, and that's the last song that I'm gonna hear from them in that album. So amazing sequence, and just shows how much confidence that they have. There's a particular theme in doujin-based music where the narratives usually revolve around conflict, fear, and uneasiness, especially in the lyrics, but it can also be expressed by the vocals or the music itself. You hear artists like Yorushika and Minami display that theme in a more somber and dark tone, which absolutely does help convey what they're singing about. And while Zutomayo does the same, writing music lyrics that fall in the emotion categories of frustration and angst, the way they show it feels a lot more unique and new compared to all the other doujin artists I've listened to in the past. To me, what's different from Zutomayo compared to other, I guess I would say, doujin artists, even though I don't quite understand them, is the musicality. The musicality is really unique. In fact, she plays with tempo so much she can be part of something where we call math rock as well. So I think that's something that makes them stand out. And I think that specific style of doujin music is shown really well in even the album's opening songs, Nori Ueno Cracker and Kansaite Kuyashiwa. Since these tracks are right at the beginning of the album, you immediately picked up what kind of music style pace this group deals with. I totally agree. It puts you into knowing what they are doing. Both just burst with a great amount of energy, and the hyper atmosphere truly made me feel the heroine's need for escaping or breaking free from whatever struggle they're facing. Now, and one major element that helps in expressing the passion and energetic feeling is from the vocals. Obviously, all the songs on this album shows up Akane's superb singing styles, but I think my favorite track of this album is Hateru Made. Definitely showcases it best. The way her vocals go from soft at the beginning, then incredibly fiery towards the chorus, was absolutely smooth. And I believe that's one of Zutomayo's best characteristics within that song. Alright, I'm gonna talk about what's my favorite track in this whole album. At first listening to it for the first time, it was actually Konakoto Soro, because it has everything that I ever need. it has changes of tempo, changes of sound. But then after I listened back to it, I think Kitobashi Mofu really became my acquired taste. And that is something that I think just puts me in a mood and escalates my energy all the time. Now, even in the songs where it's a lot more mellow and less intense, like the jazzy Kitobashi Mofu and Chillax Glass to Rum Raisin, Akane still manages to give it her all. I mean, Dear Mr. F is a song that only features somber piano playing and essentially allows us to hear how incredible her voice really is. It's great to see a vocalist like her to be able to maintain a strong voice no matter what kind of music composition is presented. Speaking of Dear Mr. F, it's amazing how when you listen to the second verse of the song and the piano just hits hard, hits very hard. It just went intense on the higher key. And I think an appeal about Zutomayo is that they make sure nothing is predictable in the music. You don't really exactly hear verse 1 and verse 2 is the same. You just get along with the ride. Nothing in Zutomayo's music in a song sounds the same. Like, you don't really have the whole, yes, they do have that whole first verse, first pre-chorus, chorus, second verse, second pre-chorus, but they always change things up. So that's something that makes everything feels very fresh. Now, speaking of music itself, there are definitely some highlights which each of the composition, especially when it comes to the instruments. The group's instrument lineup is pretty standard for doujin music with the usual rough electric guitar, bass, drums. But the addition of a keyboard piano is probably the most significant aspect of Zutomayo's music. And the thing is that addition of piano is tuned in a way that it just feels so classy. It felt like as if you hear something in a nice jazz piano. That's something that the piano is tuned in a way that I felt. From what I experienced in the past, a lot of doujin music have that low depressing sound, which I have absolutely no problem with. It's a very realistic and relatable perspective, and I think some of the best doujin songs excellently express the struggles in life in that particular way. But to hear the creative direction of artists like Zutomayo and even Eve, where their music is super fast-paced, has absolutely strong vocals, all while still maintaining a key theme of despair conflict, in my opinion, it's a nice spin on what we've already seen in this genre of music. Hisohiso Banashi is a wonderful collection of songs, and if you're looking for another Japanese doujin artist to listen to, I would absolutely suggest this. Guys, rating 9.7/10. Alright, to wrap it up, I'm gonna give you guys how I feel about this album. To me, this album is 11 out of 10. That's right, I said. Hisohiso Banashi is 11 out of 10. Purely for the reasons of immersing into the world of Zutomayo, and as well as the different parts of the music and how every music is all different, and just finally getting the whole picture that Akane is trying to show you, because you can't get this in just a singular music video. You gotta check out an album and really listen to it on an album perspective. So just gonna do one last plug for those of you guys who want to check out more of my Zutomayo music reaction. Just go to patreon.com/ABA Japan and check out my full album reaction of Hisohiso Banashi. And if you pledge in that tier, you'll also get my Yorushika, Eve, and as well as MAFUMAFU's album reaction. So what a time to be alive, to be inside, if you like what I do.